we are now live. Uh, Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. And it's also based on the new way of saying hello to friends and family. It's another Friday. Today is the 10th of May. Incidentally, at the end of this May, my first child will be 50. It's a big boy now. So I want to welcome everybody to my show, to Otumba Who latest show, talk show. And as usual, every Friday is a thing of joy for me to have a guest. I've not had commercial guests. I've not had any special private guests. I've had guests that are on either on birthday bash, birthday something, sha, professional, those who are maybe doctor, lawyer, engineer, anything. Tonight is another special night, another special Friday. And one of the things that also give me good happiness is when I have friends that I can call friends, people I've known for years. You know, this gentleman you are looking at, I've known him for like Babatunde Sobanjo, advert to how many years now, roughly?
From about 1984, I think.
Thereabout.
Yeah,
because you and I were one of the first few people that got the mobile phone when it was launched. You remember?
yeah, the offensive weapon.
Yeah.
That's what they call
And also remember that you are carrying the battery around your waist. It was fun. And the first laptop, Hiroshima,
that was a
Hitachi.
No, it was a compact that looked like
compact. No, you have compact.
Yeah,
I have
machine.
Hitachi. Is it Hitachi or? Yeah, I think I still have it. That's why I call it Hiroshima. It's a big, massive one. Around that time, you hardly can find anybody pickpocketing mobile phone because they are dead on arrival. If they pick your phone, you can use the battery to throw it at them. They went up in the hospital. Welcome, viewers all over the world. My name is Otumba Olabode Oseni. My guest tonight is Dr. Babatunde Sobanjo. As you just said, we've known each other for years. We've come a long way. We've gone through different levels, different weather. People who want to call in now may have to wait just a minute. Hello, ma. I'm on live show. You want to join or you want to contribute? Yeah? Okay. All right. Thank you. So we've come a long way. We've gone through similar scenarios, similar situations. But the one we did not get involved is anything bad. These are few friends that I can talk openly. I can take their details to the bank. I can say, they are my friends. And I hope and I believe that I'm also their friends to see me that way. Those of you who have got the invitation to watch this special edition of Otumba Who latest, please re-invite your friends and family to come and join this show because we have a couple of things I want to discuss. I want to talk with him. I want to take him. I want to have his thoughts. Indirectly, he's also kind of I can call him a political thinker. He's a thinker. and is an achiever. Is somebody who is highly determined. I also remember there was a time that is also in the 80s. You remember is it Maestro, that British car that it has to be three of us that had to handle the steering. You remember?
Yes, it was.
Tell us,
I think
tell
it
our
was,
viewers a little bit more about it.
I think it was a Chrysler.
No, it's not a Chrysler. It's something Maestro. Is it?
Oh, Metro. Yeah.
Metro. Yeah.
By General Motors, I think, or
A British car, Metro. It's a
British Leyland or something.
British Leyland.
Yeah, yeah.
This particular one, there's nothing like power steering thing. And you and I have experienced any time, I don't know whether either the engineer is gone on the steering or something in this when it snow. It has to be two of us that we have to steering.
That vehicle was the definition of power steering, because if you did not have power, you did not steer it. So,
power steering, it is power steering because we were using our power. Yeah.
It ended up under a tree, actually. I crashed it into a tree because the brake failed and I couldn't turn the wheel. So
I couldn't turn.
Yeah, well. Sorry.
There was also a day somewhere in around Edgeware. We are almost approaching your house. For some reason, I think it was a snowy. It was snowing, something like that. We almost run into a ditch.
That happened almost every day. It was just a hazardous vehicle, that's all. But what was a poor man to do? I mean,
Yeah, well, put it this way: are we so poor in relative to poor people around that time? I don't think so.
No, relatively not. But I mean, I don't know that I use public transportation very much.
Around that time.
Yeah, I had my vehicle. Even though there were death traps. Yeah.
And I don't want to say it's, I don't know. Okay, I also do have my own car, but it was not really as bad, as dangerous as.
No, that was the most dangerous vehicle ever manufactured, I must say.
Okay, it's my pleasure having you tonight. And I think I've said it all, that we've come a long way. We know each other very, very well. I know late Papa and Mama. I know the family very well. And I think the only one thing that is not that I think we can share here is when you have friends that after maybe a period of 2 years or 3 years, they will fight and go separately or whatever. I don't. Do we have that record? Anything like that?
Not fight, but there will be interregnums that we will lose contact. Maybe for an extended period. I don't want to say like how many years, but there was always a way to reconnect. That's
exactly. And every time we reconnect like that, we pick up again where we left it, isn't it?
Yeah, this connection was never fractious. It was always just not communicating.
Yeah. It's just similar to NEPA, the way epileptic, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, email. I think email made it possible for persons we hadn't heard of in a long while to reconnect. Because the once email came into the scene, it was hardly difficult to lose people.
That's true.
So I think numbers were shared through email once we started having cellular phones and all that.
Thank you. So it's a thing of joy for me. Again, I want to ask people who are watching this program to please join us and join other friends and family. Uh, it's not a program where going to be a large number of uh, 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 crowd. It's just this a family, this a friend, something relaxed mode, you know. And what else do you expect somebody that just uh, clocked 69? We got how many? No, 70.
Well,
How,
I leave my age in your hands.
how anxious were you? How anxious were you to get to 70? Tell us.
Well, you know, I'm not a numbers person when it comes to age. I'm a
Mhm.
numbers person professionally, but when it comes to age, I don't often even remember my own age. I think I look at my age in terms of my mental and physical abilities.
Okay.
So maybe I deceived myself for so long because I've always been very agile. I've always had, you know, occupations that give me a lot of mental challenges. So I always had that useful outlook to life.
Mm.
I didn't know in my consciousness that 70 plus was coming. And even when it came, it just passed like any other day. You know, uh,
Very interesting. I know, and I believe you because I also remember uh, 7 years ago you were at my 70th birthday, and it was a big show. It was a big, it's a day. I mean, time ceremony I will never forget.
mm,
And I also want to appreciate you that people like you and many others, and I hope they are watching that. Made my 70th 7 days 7 years ago memorable, you know. Now, before we continue, just give us a little bit about tell us a little bit about yourself. Even though I've already opened up, I've already given them what the I'm still going to talk about more, but tell us who is Dr. Babs Sobanjo.
well, without sounding too timid, uh, I've never really seen anything that I have been achieved or done as extraordinary. You know, I always leave that for others to determine. But I will take you through my early lives very briefly. You know, I was born on Lagos Island, uh, Mercy Hospital. You know, on Tokumbo Street, I think.
Yeah,
That's where
it is Sigma.
yeah, that's where I was born, and my parents lived then on Royin Street, uh, and there I grew up at Isaleko. That's in Saleko area. My early days were, you know, when I became conscious of being a person, was spent at the Alakoro Training Center. That's what it was called. It was a gymnasium. I don't know if they did something else during the day, but we went there in the evening.
Yes, I know
Uh,
Alakugbe is a
and
play center, a kind of a play center like that. Yeah.
I went. That was where I spent most of my evenings. You know, learning different athletic uh, uh, things, boxing, sprinting. You know, and the like. And I think the boxing especially sets my mindset for the future because there was I can't remember his name, but every time we walked into the gym,
Mm.
you remember those PT pants, the blue one. You have a white stripe on the side and
Yes, yes, yes,
T at the bottom on the backside. Yeah,
yes.
that's how we showed up at the gym. And as you are walking in, the man is saying to you, "Protect yourself at all times." Not in very good English, but that's what he was saying to us. like protect yourself at all times. So once you enter the gym, or especially the ring, the boxing ring, protect yourself at all times. That was all that was hammered into my head growing up. And I think that played into the way I grew up, creating a shield around myself. It could be with people, it could be with other things, but I always ensure that I had that protection around me. And of course, the way you do that I also learned in that Alakoro training center, even as a kid, was if you are kind to people, they will protect you. If you are useful to people, they will protect you. So that was my early life. I attended Holy Trinity School in Butero for my primary, and by God's grace, ended up at Federal Government College Warri for my secondary. I spent after my school start, I spent 1 year at international school, Ibadan, before I it's a story, but from international school, I was there for my higher school, lower 6. My father decided, I wasn't going to survive in life if he left me in Nigeria. So he moved me to England to study accountancy. And that was the very last year that ACCA admitted people without higher school. In fact, it was the last 2 months of them admitting people without higher school to do ACCA that I went in. So subsequently, I finished my accountancy very young. I think by the time I celebrated my 21st, I'd already qualified the December before. So I spent my early professional days in London. By the way, my ACCA was in Wednesbury, England, but I live in Birmingham. But when I finished, went to London, lived in London, worked for a dealership, Chrysler dealership in London. And then Nigeria called, and I went to join Coopers and Lybrand in Nigeria. And there I was at Coopers for about four years, or maybe less. And from there, life opened up, and I was all over the place. All over the place. If I am to recite my resume in full, it was all full of adventures. It was all full of adventures all over the world. And I would, from time to time, spend time in Nigeria working, and then, have reasons to return to the UK and work, and ultimately found myself in the United States, where I completed the last 12 years of my working life. So I worked for the state of Texas. I was in the office of the Inspector General as an auditor. I was a government auditor. I retired as a principal government auditor. And that was in May 2021 when I retired. And I've been kind of doing things I love since then. So very boring, nothing exciting about, be busy, but it's not that kind of background that would cause excitement for anyone.
That's more than enough. I mean, well, let's start by thanking the Almighty that at least to add to your 70, there's a list of many things you've achieved, you've done, and but not gloating. We have people who are yet to start. even they are 70. God forbid, maybe because they are in different situation and so on and so forth. Yes, again, I want to ask our viewers all over the place, all over the world, to please help share this show. The more to come is, I mean, is, as you can see, my friend, my brother, my colleague is relaxed. We are going to talk relaxed. That's who we are. And maybe there may be one or two things people can pick or take away from this show. So help us share, love, like, and subscribe. So, Babs,
Yes.
now you are retired. You obviously, I discovered that about uh, less than 7. My retirement documentation came in from the office one day. That's 60 when I was 65. That's how many years ago is that? That's 12 years ago. And I was asked to fill the form, blah blah blah. I filled the form, and from nowhere they started just giving me my Babagba benefits, and the rest is history. Having said that, I'm sure you just said it. You've been doing after retirement, after you have gone through your professional something. Today you can relax and say, well, look, you want to look back and start Jewan Agba. And Jewan Agba, uh,
Amen.
let's start praying that this will be beginning of the O after the number 8, you'll be 80, you'll be 90, 100. I have no doubt in my mind that because of the 7 year difference, by the time you are 107, I will somewhere,
Maybe
I,
about 114.
I would, no, I'm not too sure. So, the other thing I want to go through with you is a little bit about life. Uh, in life, I think is also is stage by stage process and procedure. What you've done, what you want to do, what you could do, what you cannot do. Is there anything you have really wanted to do that you did not do?
You see, I, I'm that person that I I don't have I don't have the capacity for regret.
Hmm.
It's a shame, right?
You don't do emotion.
Yes, I don't have the capacity. Bele.
Thank you.
Wherever I find myself, I'm comfortable there. Whatever is going to come next is usually not so much by my struggles, but by providence that just lands me wherever I find myself.
Hmm.
But wherever I find myself, it is my duty to ensure that I represent myself in the best form possible with the highest level of humanity and with the highest level of humility. That has been my principle. That has been, guiding me. So, I hardly can look back and say I have regrets. Look, I've had disasters, I've had bad stories and stuff. But who has gone through life for more than 60 years and wouldn't have recorded some bad stories? Now is a measure of how we allow the bad bits to determine how we move forward or who we are. I'm just that person that, all those things are events.
Hmm.
And once an event passes, for me, it's all over. There's nothing you can do about that event anymore. Look forward, move forward. What's ahead of you is more attainable than what's behind you.
Hmm.
So that's the way I've approached life. I'm not one that would tell a story of somebody did something to me or somebody, you know, I just it almost doesn't matter what the past has been. For me, what is important is the future and how I manage that future. I've
It's
been
very interesting. Yeah.
I've
Go
been
on.
I've been lucky, that I find myself in places that when my sojourn ends in one place, that very place generates the next level. So there is never a gap. There is always, a phase ends and that ending phase generates the next phase. So, I mean, whether there is uh, an improvement from one phase to the next or it's a regression, for me, the most important thing is it's a movement. It's not a static situation. So
Not stagnant.
no, absolutely not. I wouldn't even let it happen.
Hmm. Very interesting. And I can bear witness to um, some of what the accounts you given, because in the 80s, even though some people are now complaining, but I can tell you that it's not gloom and doom. How do you say it in Yoruba? It wasn't all that rosy, rosy, rosy. And like you rightly said, on every uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. There's always something. If you don't have any, if you don't have anything to fight for, I mean, definitely, either you must have been lame from birth, or you. In fact, even at that, it's a struggle. If you're in a situation where you cannot wear your own clothes, you cannot do anything yourself.
Well, that's even a terrible struggle.
It's exactly, it's terrible.
Mm.
Now, okay, as I also know indirectly that you love being an accountant is something you did. I also remember that when I was also working in the city of London or something like that, central London, uh, you are my accountant, put it that way, and high profile accountant around that time because you are dealing with us a high profile. I'm not.
Well, I had my accounting practice in Kilburn.
Yes, sorry, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then you also have a partner. I don't know where he is now, but I think
Well, when I moved to Luton, you know,
Luton. Yes, yes,
I moved to Luton when that gentleman joined my partnership.
yeah. Remember, that's true. Yeah.
We moved to Luton. Yes.
And again, it was profession, which I believe you you are so much into it, you love it. And who wouldn't love when you said you are sent to go and study this noble profession? Even the Halik added to if you're either not a doctor, a lawyer,
And
engineer, architect, you
he
account.
was never an accountant.
Even though it's the most important part of it,
Yeah.
because yeah, but for some reasons, conspiracy wise, they remove it. You don't, but it doesn't matter. You are
Well,
a very
you
go
see,
on.
for me, going into accountancy was a pure accident. I I I would have believed that I would turn out to be a lawyer. For one thing, my father was a registrar, and he always took me to his office at one time at the high court, race course, and then he became registrar of the Supreme Court. And every Saturday he would take me to his office, and yeah, and there were court sittings on Saturdays. So I actually believed I was going to be a lawyer at the end of the day. But unfortunately, my attitude to life did not encourage my father to think that he would wait for me to be anything other than, look, just get out of here and go and do something, right? So when the ACCA came up as an option, I didn't know anything about accounting, you know at all, no idea. And I recall they got me into a school at Yaba or something. I can't remember. Maybe around Onike or so. And it was an evening school, right? So that was where I was supposed to be learning bookkeeping in preparation for my interview for visa, before going to the UK. Well, to be honest, whatever we learned in that school, I had no clue. Uh, it's nothing to do with the school or the teachers. It was just me. It wasn't just something I was interested in. But when I went for my visa, the my sister was the secretary of the Student Advisory Board of the federal government, Ministry of Education. So they knew her very well. She had regular interactions with them about students going abroad, scholarship and stuff. So she went with me for the interview, and and they were chatting. The guy was chatting with my sister. I was sitting there, and I was just expecting that he will stamp and I'll get the hell out of the place. Now the day before, or the week, it was a Monday. Or 2 days before, I'd had my send-off party that I was going abroad. So. And many of the people that came from Igbobi King's College, some Queen's College girls. I think many girls came from.
I didn't hear girls or guys.
Girls from girls secondary school, Bagada. They all.
I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure that I hear you.
It was a very big party, right? Send off party. I was here to get my visa. So the gentleman now said he would like to interview me alone, right? My sister she didn't leave the room. She just sat away from the table, and he asked me, so what do you know about accountancy? So I thought, well, the only thing I knew about accountancy was a particular accountant, an uncle of mine who worked at the Central Bank of Nigeria, and I'd been to his office twice. And I've seen the layout of his office, very large, very, those colonial tables and stuff.
Mm.
Well, you see, I'm not one that will keep quiet and say I don't know. I will give you answers. So I gave him the answer I knew. I said, well, the accountant sits in a big office. He has this big table with files. People come in and bring things to him. He was looking at me like, is this one serious? but that was all I knew. That was the only question he asked me. And he turned to my sister and said, I don't think I'll let him go because he doesn't know what he's going to do. Well, from that moment on, whatever conversation transpired between him and my sister, I did not know. Because all I was now thinking of is, like I said, look, I move on, right? I'm not going to go, so I move on. So I started planning the story I'm going to tell all the people that came for the send-off party where I'm not going again. That's the next story. That's what I was thinking of in my mind. What am I going to tell them? And by the time the guy agreed to give me a try, I did not even know. All I knew was that, my sister thanked him very much. And I started hearing her say, he's a brilliant kid, he's going to do very well, blah, blah, blah. So I couldn't even ask, like, did he agree that I go? I couldn't ask because my mind had traveled, away from that place, but they allowed me to go. And so when I got in to the college in Wednesbury, because I was kind of in isolation, I didn't have friends, and this was deliberate strategy by my father. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have, anyone to interact with. My brother was there, but I mean, the age gap between us, already created a big chasm, that
Mm.
I was virtually on my own. So I didn't have any friends, right? But with that, I became very, very studious. I concentrated on my work, and that helped me. That really helped me. That I was able to accelerate through the course. Yeah.
Well, the two things I picked from your narratives there, I also remember that when I started working with BWA, they call them Bank for West Africa, later on turned to Standard Bank now, First Bank. I've always have the ambition of wanting to go and study abroad, but then again, you need to have a level to enter university. I was doing like, if I'm unable to travel, at least I can enter one of the university in a year. Unfortunately, I don't go to university in a year. I don't know how it is like. So I was doing A level at Holy Cathedral Secondary School, Broad Street. Not very far from
Oh,
CMS, very
yeah.
close to the
Holy Cross.
yeah, very close to
Oh,
National Library.
library. Yeah.
We have a big edifice, a
Yeah.
big building, National Library.
Oh.
I'm talking of library where you go there. There's no book you want to.
Yeah, that was where we used to meet. That was where we spent our students. Spent our
Exactly.
days. Yeah.
Beautiful place, nice place, well portioned, well cut. Anyway, so that was a very interesting experience, and sometimes it makes a lot of difference for those who do not have a straight, entrance to life, to those who have to walk their way to life. They are
Oh,
not the same,
yeah.
and the benefits also varies. It cannot be the same,
Oh.
So yeah, again, I want to ask people to please share this show. I know it's going to be limited among our friends. Share with other friends and family, and like it, love it, and click the notification button. Also, the comment section is there. Please make your comment. And shortly, I will be allowing people who want to phone. If you want to talk to Uncle Mr. Alagba, Dr. Babsobanjo, you are free. The number, I've added the number to the screen. The number is UK +44 7368 465 054. You can call. You can call and maybe remind him of one or two things that you want him to know. So pick the call. But that will be in another 4 or 5 minutes when I've finished asking him one or two other things. Right. Now, I noticed that you have been in and out of America. You're an American citizen. You do travel often. You've been to many countries. I also remember around that time you go to audit different places in America. I'm sorry, in Africa. There was also a case of one time that was it in Uganda or Kenya? Where were you? That after the auditing and everything you did, that you have to buy about 7 suitcases to carry the money down. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh no, that was in Uganda. Uh,
Okay.
uh, it was it was in the 80s.
Was it still the time of Idi Amin then, Abi?
No, no,
He
no.
left.
Museveni had taken over.
He just
Yeah,
okay.
that was the early days of Museveni.
Okay.
And I went to work on a project, on a tea project for the European Commission. They were not European Union then; they were called European Commission. And I was the accountant on the project. And we got to Entebbe Airport, and there were this reverend gentlemen who were behind me, and when we were waiting to disembark, we got talking. I introduced myself, and all that. And as we came down the stairs, somebody was carrying, well, two people carried a banner with my name on it. And they said, "Is that your name?" I said, "Yes." And immediately, and this is the difference between other African countries and Nigeria. Immediately, they dropped their suitcases and grabbed mine and said, "No, you are a very important visitor to our country." They took my suitcase, right? So I said, "No, I'm not important. It's just to identify me. I'm not that kind of important person." They will not have it until they took my suitcase from me and helped me carry it to the through immigration. There was another person who was coming from Belgium, so we had to wait at the airport for that person. But in the meantime, they took me to a restaurant and said, "We're going to eat." So I ordered my food, but they said they weren't eating. I said, "No, it's not interesting. I order something, right?" And they said, "No, no, 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 they were not going to eat." Well, I'd ordered, so I had to eat. And then they brought the bill. And well, at that time, I still had my pounds with me. I hadn't converted it. So they were going to pay. And I said, "Okay, pay, I'll reimburse you." They said, "No, no, this is on the project." I said, "Okay." And then they started putting bills of money on the table. I said, "Excuse me, what did I eat? I didn't eat that much. Why are you putting all this?" They said, "That's the currency. That's the way the money was." The table was so full, I didn't understand how I could have eaten so much. If I knew, maybe I wouldn't have eaten at all. But the real shocker was to come when they took me to my hotel, and I think I gave them £2,000 to go and exchange for me. And I'd asked them, I said, "How many of us," because it was a very large room. I said, "How many of us in this room?" They said, "Oh, that's just for you." Okay. So they went and exchanged the money for me, £2,000. When they came back, I will not exaggerate if I say more than 12 huge suitcases came in. And as they were bringing this, and not even suitcases and sacks, suitcases, sacks, and stuff. I said, "Excuse me, you said I'm the only one staying in this room." They said, "Yes." I said, "So why are you bringing all this?" They said, "That's your money."
I remember the story very well.
They said, "That's your money." I said, "My money." That was when I regretted changing the entire 2,000. Said I should have just held on, maybe change a little bit. But then, when we go out to eat, it's, and, when I have to pay, somebody will go to the trunk of the car and bring sacks. Now, the you don't count the notes. You just count the bills, because there's no point counting. I can't even remember. It was in millions of Ugandan shillings, but you
So
don't
you have
count.
been a millionaire already.
Yeah, well, I must have been with that amount of notes of currency in my room, you know. But you see, in my mind, the way they were handling money openly in big bills, like in the restaurants and all that. I'm thinking in Nigeria there was a lot of armed robbery going on, and I was
Okay.
always apprehensive that with this amount of cash lying around, you know, armed robbers could come and raid these places, right? But the point is, there was no reason, or there was no incentive for armed robbers to do that, because they will have to carry trucks and trucks of money for the robbery to be tangible.
So
If
it was a kind of a
it's
this
incentive, yes, yeah. I mean, if for lunch you will have a carload of money just for lunch. So
wow.
how much what would it take for armed robber to rob you? Are they robbing you for lunch money,
No,
or you know?
no show. Oh, thank you for that. I just like some of these. Things I remember that to the other thing again, also you are still into traveling, you go forward, backwards. You have two major countries you in the last few months, and one of them is our home country, Nigeria. I want to ask you a little bit about Nigeria, and reason being is about 4 years ago, I remember somewhere in the UK here, we were at a gathering, one of our Aburo house, when we were talking about political things, possibilities of after Buhari, what is going to happen. That we had different ideas, we have different podcasts or whatever. But then, why I'm asking you this is, as you speak, how will you, how will you, what are your take on the present governance in Nigeria? Because I know you also have a very strong view about things, how things should have been done, how they could be done, and why things are not. You have strong views about things in Nigeria.
I do.
What's your take on the kind of a general assessment of what's going on in Nigeria now?
Well, if it's what's currently happening, right? Again, like I say, I'm not very good at looking backwards. I prefer to look forward. But this government, just like any other government, they have the agenda. And to my mind, there is very little to be contributed to the performance of governance by non-government actors. They don't even listen to official opposition. If we don't have official opposition, but the second, third place political parties are, to all intent and purpose, opposition. They don't even listen to them because when you say anything that is not within the policy framework of the government, then you are against them. But that is not true. You see, the government has its agenda, and they have their strategies to attain the agenda. Now, my PhD is in public policy, and I practice my public policy in the state of Texas with an economy many times the size of the economy of Nigeria. So when I'm bringing my perspective into a discourse like this, it's not just from thin air, right? But the point is, I don't have a big name. So why would anyone listen to me? But that said, you see, I think the government lacks diversity of opinions. That is really the undoing. If they would embrace diversity of opinions, then they have the framework to be to deliver good governance. To be honest with you, they do. They just need to embrace more contrarian opinions that can lead them, to better policy formulation and implementation. Let me give you an example. You see, the way the government spends money on what they call palliatives, right? It is so defective that it is ineffective. Number one, we live in an environment that we all understand that is prone to deep, deep corruption, right? So to implement a palliative, for example, what you are now doing is you are telling some organization, to go and distribute food to people. All right. Number one, how do you distribute the food to the distributors? It's not transparent. How do the distributors distribute to the end consumers? It's not transparent. You see, for me, in the policy environment I trained, it would have been better if government went and intervened. Look, farmers, producers, importers don't have to lose a penny. But all you do is you have a policy in place that these specific outlets, and look, people will always, you will never have a perfect policy delivery, right? But if you are transparent, people will embrace it. So identify specific outlets that you pay and subsidize at source, so that those people will distribute to people. Now, who do they distribute to? Not just anyone. Look, we have data in Nigeria, and you can actually determine that. Look, if you come with your BVN, for example, and go to a store, there'll be a way to capture that you have received something and what you have received. And that way, you are actually delivering transparently. And now, who gets it? Whose BVN? I don't know. But that's what they want to do. They must be able to determine the parameters around that. And the parameters are not difficult to come up with. But you don't implement palliatives at the magnitude that they did in such an opaque way that the only semblance of transparency is when people are now fighting over what you are giving them. For me, that is a show. That is dehumanizing. Why would a poor person be made to go and line up somewhere just to collect food? By the way, how much food are they picking up anyway? That is, dehumanizing them even further in their poverty. Poverty is not their fault, right? Because look, every Nigerian knows that every Nigerian works hard. But you have identified them as poor. Don't make life more difficult for them. Let them be in their homes. Their BVN will have data that can make you go do, hand-to-hand delivery. Because the merchants that you have paid will have the resources to do that, and they'll be able to account for it. It is the duty of government to have such. So I'm not saying what I've just said is a perfect, delivery system, but government has the means to tweak it around the edges and make it deliverable. They don't own the monopoly of knowledge. The knowledge that is outside government is much bigger than what government can ever put together. And if you don't give yourself that forum to listen to contrarian ideas, then you are all thinking the same way. You have groupthink. You are thinking the same way, and you want to make a difference? No, it's not going to happen. You need those who will challenge your thinking. You need those who will poke holes in your ideas. And then if you are really honest, you will go back and see how you can block those holes before you deliver. Let me take another example. The issue of subsidy on petroleum. I don't know if it is politically correct to say that the president goofed big time in what he did. If he had given himself time to assemble a team to study that subsidy regime, and number one, identify where the corruption is, because look, the first thing you know about subsidy is the corruption behind it. That's the first thing you know. Identify where the corruption is. Plug where corruption is. Go after. You're not even touching the subsidy, yes. Go after those who have benefited from that corruption. And then you realize you probably don't even need to terminate subsidy. Subsidy was headed the wrong way and going to the right places, then you may not need to remove it. But the reason they gave us that they were removing it, it was because of corruption. How can you give in to corruption? How can you? And then,
Well,
since then, they have not arrested anyone, have they? That collected subsidy inappropriately for years?
if I can quickly interject you there, I enjoy your analysis, the way you put it together. But I only noticed that some of what you have been saying is just not in an average African DNA. The way you think it can be done in Texas, California, New York, and so beautiful thing in London. How people are brought into governance at different level, how people are tasked to do certain things, to help certain things, to make things work clockwise. We just don't have that in our structure, and that's a big. The Igbo people doing all these things. They I'm yet to come across the one with four head, where there are two-headed ones. So those are the Sami. Right? People like you who are trained or nuanced in education of public policy, idea of how best to do things. You either in many other countries in Africa, sidelines. You are too big for them. You are just because what you do not add to your qualification is the local politics of you just have to do it the way to exploit to make this. But I think the present president is doing all his best to fix things. I hope, and I want to pray that he succeed. It's a big hole. It's not only the hole is not only black. It's like blue black hole, big massive hole. So to fix it. Now, leaving that area quickly. I also you mentioned about corruption. Again, maybe I will have to bring you back to discuss only corruption because corruption for me is so is so is so into not only endemic, is virtually every part of the country of the people, and it's going to take. I'm not too sure how many years it's going to take to start scratching it because it's gone down. So just one or 1 minute on corruption. What are the bad effects of corruption?
Well, look, any corrupt structure stifles development. Simple.
Basic.
Simple. There cannot be development where there is corruption. You can have all the money in the world, but where you condone corruption, look, you cannot 100% eliminate corruption in any environment, but you can at least make it so minute
You can manage it.
that it does not become it does not become an albatross, for the government. You know, and look, I will always say this: the tone at the top, the tone at the top of governance determines what everybody else does. If people know that this president will be so sickened by anyone caught in corruption, and he will fight fiercely to make sure that justice comes down heavily on that person as quickly as possible. As quickly as possible. That message goes down deep. You know what? He only needs one or two cases, high-profile cases, to be shown the ruthless way of dealing with corruption, and everybody else will be very circumspect about being corrupt with public money.
So to say I not agree with corruption.
In 2024, you cannot you not agree with corruption. That's just what it is. You see, but when you give latitude, or you have a character that is complicit in any corrupt practice, and you let them go, or you treat them with kids' gloves. Look at the Senate. Look at the Senate. The Senate president has live case. He has a live case at the EFCC.
What is life, sir? What is life? Life is a
Live
life.
means it is current.
I understand. I just want
it is
you
current.
to
But
broaden it.
he's the president of the Senate. I'm not aware that presidential immunity for the president of the country extends to the president of the Senate.
In Nigeria, not at all.
No. But is he untouchable? Absolutely yes. He's untouchable.
Can he be touched? No.
Untouchable. Right? So when you allow some people to pass, then you will end up allowing everybody to pass. You lose the moral right to impose discipline on those who go against the law. It's as simple as that.
Thank you. Like I said, because of time, the certain area that I might have to bring you back to, just we are going to discuss it because of your professional qualification or education, then purely on that subject. Now, please, I want to ask few people that we have to invite friends and family to watch this program, come and meet the latest Baba 70 in town around. I'm sure there are many more who are going to be joining very soon, especially in the social circle that I don't know whether I'm the chairman of this, the chairman. I started getting some messages. They want to know more about social life. We will come to that also, but please phone in if you want to phone in, ask Bab Sobanjo any question. Feel free to talk, and also send in your comments if you want to, and also help share again and again. Having said that, Babs, there's also an area that I have no doubt in my mind that me that I've engaged myself for some time now, and I'm not going to say your opinion is too strong to be shared or to be discussed. I refuse to allow any of my friend or anybody, by the way, to say I have no right to be one of the people that will sit down and say, listen, let us discuss how best we can move this country. And if one of the best way to move this country is to start thinking about regrouping, rearrangement, restructuring it or whatever, I'm open to that. I'm not. I don't want to be seen as do or die. It has to be this like way some of the part of the country are behaving. About 3 or 4 days ago, the Biafra radio under the whatever Mr. Simon Ekpan, whom I also know, started talking that Tinubu definitely has died. And that in fact, for this time, my friend Tinubu, this is the third or the fourth time that he will have died. Okay. He has died many times than Buhari. But there was even a time when they are even carrying his corpse, trying to bury him. That's about 4 or 5 years ago. Now, why am I talking about this? I believe there's still a lot to be done. If you talk about corruption, if you talk about certain things that need to be done, that can be done, that must be done, we will still need to start talking about why are things not being done? And that is where the next question is. Do you not think that rearranging the country in such a format that will enable everybody to participate. Because in most cases, in most climate, the governance is bottom up. Yeah. Whereas in many African countries is top down. And that's where the problem is. What's your take about people who are saying, let us rearrange, let us restructure, let us replan this country? What's your take?
Well, again, I'm going to sound contrarian. I am not in favor of restructuring. I am not. What restructuring means to me may not be the same as what it means to you and to the next person, right? We all have a various definition of restructure. But because there has not been a single definition of restructuring, right? I don't even know what to say. If I ask you now to define restructuring, you probably will say, the East should go their separate way, West should go their separate way. I ask somebody else, they will say, no, let's go to the old regions. And, you see, for me, the kind of restructuring we need is a leadership restructuring. If our leadership can suddenly decide that, okay, look, our people have suffered enough, and they have suffered enough in our hands. From now forward, let us govern for the people. If everybody, regardless of where you are in Nigeria, will feel the impact of good governance, in other words, economically you are improving, health-wise, all the facilities are there. Socially or security-wise, everything is as it should be. Everyone is safe. And then, we all act in fairness. We all act in fairness. Look, the fact that you are older than me does not mean that you will always ask me to come and clean your butt. It does not mean that anytime you want to go and buy something, it's me that you will call because you are older than me. Regardless of what makes us, either majority or minority, if we have mutual respect, mutual and equal respect for all entities within the union, I don't see the reason for us to restructure. Now, that's a tall order, but it's not impossible. It takes civic education. It takes the determination of the leadership, like I said. If leadership can make a conscious effort, a conscious decision to say, we have punished these people enough. Look, I don't know that any president in Nigeria has ever been to Amuwodofin, not Amuwodofin, Abete, near 7-Up area in Lagos. I don't know that any president in Nigeria has been to the poorest community in Nigeria to spend time with them and dine with them and participate in their lived experiences, to know what they go through. Because you see, what you have is leadership that sits in the most comfortable part of not just Nigeria. They sit in the most comfortable environment you can ever create for a human being in the world, to govern those who struggle to eat, to govern those who struggle to feed, to govern those who struggle to go to school. And you want them to enact policies that soothe those poor people? It cannot happen because they don't have the empathy. Until we have that kind of leadership that we descend to that level to experience what the poor goes through. Not even, look, you cannot be in their shoes, right? But at least look at their shoes, for goodness sake. Don't send your handlings to go come back and give you feedback, because they will never ever tell you the truth. And even if they do, their narration can never represent your own emotion on the spot. Until we have that kind of leadership that is ready to govern from the grassroots, even though he's sitting in the high places.
Babs, if I can quickly interject you there. From your narratives, the only worries I have is talking about leadership. The leadership you're talking about, the 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 sane one among the leadership we are looking for, or the correct leadership we are looking for, where are they going to come from? Are they still going to come from Morocco, from somewhere Victoria Land, from somewhere in Bejuleki, somewhere in Gongola, somewhere in Agege or Lagos? Where are they going to come from? Are they not? Are they the leaders we have so far? Are they not from us? Are they not from you and I? Even though you are not like that, I'm not like that. You know very well, and I know very well that we have refused appointment because we don't want to join them. Now, but then the leadership you're talking about, can you tell us a little bit more how we can generate, create, get a better leaderships? So put
Well,
them in real times.
you know,
Do you understand what I'm saying?
oh, absolutely. You know, people have always said that the poor leadership is the fault of poor followership.
Are they not interconnected?
They are not.
Okay.
They are not, because now you are saying that the elite, and the poor are of equal footing, but they are not. So you see, the gap between the elite and the poor is so wide that when it comes to choosing leadership, the followership will hero worship those that are presented to them. They are hero worshiping them because they see them as they see the elite as those who will give them their daily bread. They don't see themselves as having the fundamental right to even exist on their own, but dependent on the elite. So, come election time, for example, politicians go and give money. Look, let me tell you, even if the politicians don't give a penny, the poor man will still vote for them. They are just wasting their time giving money. Trust me, they are just wasting their time. They are wasting their money, because these people will still vote for them anyway. You know why? Because in the subconscious of every poor man is looking for a Messiah. He's looking for a redeemer, and he sees in his redeemer in anyone who is better than him. Anyone who is better than him is his redeemer, is his savior. Up to the point that if you put a poor man like him who displays any element of intellectualism, they will be diminished because they are poor. So you cannot blame the followership, because they have already been subsumed in their own hole that the elite has dug for them. So the leadership, like I said, will still come from among us, right? But only if maybe 1, 2, 3 of them will get together someday and say, what can we do to make a difference? The trajectory of this development is not working. It's not what even we, as elitist as we may be, is not what we are comfortable with. Maybe when you get 2 or 3 they gather 4, they gather 5, and ultimately it may gather sufficient momentum. It's not something that will happen in a hurry, but when it happens, the moss that a rolling stone gathers at a point becomes so huge that it becomes a ball, and it rolls even faster.
Well, again, like I said, I'm taking note of most of what we are discussing. It's I need to ask you more in the area of your education policy analysis, because I'm still not. I'm like the former one of the former German foreign minister said 2003 when America was poised. America and the UK, they were poised. They are just like no matter what you say or do, they just want to go and attack.
Oh.
They know why they want to do that. They just want to go and invade Iraq, and where possible, kill the leader of Iraq, which they eventually succeeded. They got rid of him. The question is Iraq better with or without Saddam Hussein? So these are issues. The point I'm trying to connect it is like I'm still not convinced from the explanation, the 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 bring about how we can have good leadership without not having something to destroy certain things. There are certain cells that need to be destroyed in order to get a better thing out. So like you need to have an operation to remove certain bad things in your system. So for me, leadership, we can continue to connect, we can continue to see leadership. But I'm still not convinced that
Okay, well, look at Senegal, right? Look at what happened in Senegal.
are you referring to the new Mansour?
Yeah, the new
Mansour,
president, right?
yeah.
Look, you see, when the time comes,
Okay, when the time comes. Thank you very much.
when the time comes,
Uh-huh. You are
the
taking me
elite,
there.
the elite will drop the ball. You see,
Mm.
look, the 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 lower middle class to the poor uh, have no preparation to make. They don't have to prepare for anything, right? Because they are not even waiting for opportunities. They're just going about their lives.
Okay.
But one day, something is going to happen, right? Like I said, it could just be, maybe 2 or 3 elites that decide that, look, we could have the fortune, for example, of somebody that we thought would perpetuate the elitist domination of our polity, and yet he comes in and capitulates to the needs of the common man, right? He may come in on the back of a white horse, and you think he's going to be, just like any other,
Mm.
and then he turns against them. That can happen, and I will not rule it out. But if it does not happen, Nigeria is such that if there's a revolution, a violent revolution, and I don't mean military, it has to be, organic. If there's a sorry, excuse me, sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, you can take your call. It's a live. It doesn't matter.
Can you hear the ringing?
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to make it go away.
Well, you might as well take it and say you're on a live show. So
Let it ring off.
okay.
Now, you see what the elite may do will be one day to realize that, and look, it could even happen in this government. Look, if you look at the kind of things happening in this government, right? There are certain actors, I don't want to mention names, right? There are certain actors within this government that are already thinking in rather contrarian ways to the norm, right? So if you have 2, 3, 4 of them, expressing their views on how things can move forward, right? Then maybe it will catch on. Because, for me, for the first time, we have actors within a government that do things in the opposite direction to the norm.
Okay. All right. I think my takeaway from these parts is the caveat that when the time comes, as we speak now, it's just like maybe the time is not ripe. Maybe we're still going to get there. I don't know how. I just pray and wish it happens so soon in my own lifetime. But then again,
It may not be. No, it's not a play on you. Maybe it's a play on
me. No.
Maybe it's a play on
We are all in
Nigeria.
it together. Hello, don't forget we are all in 70s. So
Yeah. I mean, you see, as to how quick it happens, again, because it's organic, no one can determine. And I think whatever revolution that is going to change things has to be organic. It cannot be instigated by an external or some remote forces somewhere. It has to be organic. And I think when the drums beat, some elites will recognize it and intervene.
And I just hope they'll be able to. They will not. I understand what you mean. Now I'm having some interesting comments coming in. Like I said, I want to try to let this program go for another maybe 19 more minutes, and that's it, because I choose not to keep it too long. Anybody, even the normal program, but this is a special one. I have my very good friend, my brother, my anything that you want to call a friend. We come a long way. His name is Babatunde Sobanjo, and in the process, we have grown. We've worked. We've come a long way, getting to do a lot of things together, having to see a lot of things together. And like I was saying at the beginning of the show, we also have a couple of things in common in terms of relationship and so on and so forth. So, hey, if you are looking for advisor or you're looking for advice in some certain area of some private life, do not hesitate to get in touch. We should be able to share our experience. And one thing I also think that we have in common is we cannot be knocked down. As long as it's not a trailer that knocks us, we are not going to be down. No, we will continue to move on. Nobody can bring us down to a point like, I better you, because I also believe we have something in common. We don't deal with emotion. We don't deal with honesty, sensation, as far as I'm concerned. And also, we also met in the area of religion. It used to be a staunch Celestia abuse, serial or whatever it is. But it's now a free thing. And I believe he generates more, he contributes more to humanity than wanting to believe that he's a member of somebody who asks you to pay 330,000 naira. They first take you to Undo. After that, then you get a visa to go to heaven. All this kind of thing and I'm not joking. I'm taking this kind of people very seriously because they are taking advantage of what we have been talking about corruption, about all this kind of people who are taking corruption in such a way is because they know there are many mumus available for them to play with.
Well, let me say this, right? Look, religion, politics cannot be divorced from economy or from economic power. You cannot separate them. Religion, at least the way religion came to us in Africa, whether Islam or Christianity, they were built on economic power. The Arabs came and they brought their religion by violence, and they came to pillage whatever they could. They were doing, they said trade by barter, but I don't understand that trade by barter. The Christians came by violence, taking people into slavery to go and work on a plantation for free in lands that they have no concept of where they are.
For 500 years.
So those are the predicates of religion in Africa, right? So when you look at the modern iterations of those religions, right, they are still based on the same principles of economic attainment. So in other words, a new pastor is standing on the shoulders of either a religious sect, it could be Christianity, or beyond that, it could be, maybe Pentecostalism, whatever, right? They are standing on those shoulders to establish themselves. To what end? Look, I don't care. People may say they are called. I don't know what that means. At the back of it, you cannot separate the economy that it generates. So the people you are talking about, that the former taxi driver that wants to take people to heaven and all that, look, he has seen a way out of his own poverty.
Exactly, I agree.
Right?
I cannot agree more.
I tell these people who are so, they've been brainwashed by the established religions that, your goal on earth is to get to heaven. Right? So look, just tell them you can take them there. He's not the first to do it.
Yeah.
Many people have tried that and they have succeeded, only that they have not been able to sustain the seat for long.
Yeah. Babs, because of time again, I'm looking at it. Let me quickly read out some of the messages that I've got. A couple of them are wishing you happy birthday. Oluyemisi Daudu. That rings a bell.
That's my niece.
That should be your niece. Happy birthday. He also talked about good evening, Uncle Babs and Uncle Bode. Oh, he knows me.
That's my oldest niece, actually.
Oh, yeah. And Larry Moses, more wisdom, Baba Babs. Baba Come. Happy 70th birthday, sir. Tony O, happy 70th birthday, sir. Wishing you long, good health and well to enjoy the years ahead. Amen.
Amen.
And what Mr. Femi Awoyemi, his name rings a bell. He's the secretary of some group, or one or two groups. That's
Don't choke. Don't choke.
No, I've gone past that. Nobody can choke me. In fact, he's saying, let's get to know more about Bab's social life. He should have probably called him to tell us what he wants to know.
Well, look, my social life is very boring, right? Because I'm not...
Now or before?
Even before.
Hello?
Right? Even before. I mean, look, my social life was always around closed network. My social life was never public. It was, and then I have a closed network of people that we all lean on each other, right? That we all attain to move each other forward. It's a small network. I'm sure if it was bigger, it would have been disastrous, right? But because it's a small network, it was more manageable. We could help each other. We could lean on each other, and it has endured for years, right? And you see, to me, that network, that community is more important than anything else I may have achieved. Because what it means is, there are people I can easily call on, if I need to. Not that I would. I don't know that I've ever screamed out to anyone to say, hey, help me.
I understand. But
I know they're there, and that gives me the comfort, that these are my people. So look, there are people who have very public social lives, but they don't have those kind of people, except those who want to take from them, who benefit from them.
That's true. That's true.
Those transactional friendships, right? I don't have that. I have genuine people around me, you know. So those who have those big, I mean, I don't know how anyone can have 700 friends. You don't. You just have 700 hangers around.
You're right. You're just wasting time. It's just like when I said to all my friends and family that I'm using this opportunity to say it again. If I had to drop dead tomorrow, all you need is just bury me if you want to, and if you can, Otherwise, no further any interference with my life. Do not celebrate. Do not do anything. Do not go any mile. And somebody posed the question, say, Uncle Bode, if the time you are expecting people to celebrate you now, if they don't have it now, Uncle, and then thereafter it's when you're gone, the money now just suddenly come. I said, still don't celebrate me. Use the money to feed other people. Now, Babs, I want to thank you. But quickly, one of your niece, your oldest niece, whom I know you know, insists that the pronunciation of Babs is Bath. They call you Bath. Uncle Bath.
That's a family joke.
Exactly. So, and she's Larry Moses just coming again before you go. Larry, what you are hear me? May the good Lord grant you more years and stand and so. Yeah, very happy to hear.
Larry, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are very happy. Well, since there's not going to be any call, like I said, I very unusual. I also want to let you know this secret. Babs hardly want to appear on anything like this. It's just a special grant for me, a special arrangement. And I also need to confess that I did not prepare him. I did not prepare him for this. It's just like those are the benefits we get from each other.
If he calls me 2 hours notice.
Yeah, if he calls me and say, Otumba, one or two things needs to be done, I'll be there. I'll just, so I want to appreciate you. I want to appreciate you very well for giving me the opportunity. The 2 hours notice means a lot to me. And for those who care to log on to watch this show, like I said, it's a relaxed show. I don't do commercial, whatever. I appear on different other international television. I just do it for people. I've been doing it for about 20 years now. So I'm very happy. It's my joy. It's a thing of joy for me. So Babs, thank you very much. I want to wish you again happy birthday. Wishing you many, many more happy returns. Hopefully by the time you do your 80, I will have been, why am I going to be able to 83 or so? 87. Oh, wow. It's a long way. Okay. Well, I still pray. I look for that. God.
Don't worry, even if you are not here, I'll be communicating.
You see, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And for those who are in a hurry to get to 70, you need to, don't worry, you get there. Calm down. You just need to calculate 365 or 366 days to make 1 year. Just add it to number of years you want to. So you're going to get there. Babs, it's my pleasure. Thank you very, very much that I could take advantage of our old relationship and say, look, 2 hours is even too much to get you started. I appreciate. I'll read the last and final word before I go. Christopher Richardson. Does the name ring a bell? Happy birthday to our greatest uncle, this Prince Yinka Akmiloye from London.
Yeah.
From London.
Okay. Yinka, thank you very much.
Okay. So we want to thank all the people who have contributed to make this 1.5 hours joyful, a nice evening with Dr. Babs Sobanjo, who we are celebrating his 70th birthday. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I look forward to having you again on some other area which is not going to be birthday, but some other political policy matters.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This is the end of the show. Thank you, everybody. God bless you all.